Hello, my name is Ben Kent. I'm the Managing Director of Meridian West, and today I'm going to give you some tips for how to develop an innovation strategy for professional services firms. So what we're talking about, we'll be introducing a framework called the Innovation Lifecycle and sharing with you some tips from some real leaders of innovation within both law firms and accountancy firms. I'm going to share those ideas with you. So why focus on innovation? Well, there's a huge amount of change and disruption in the professional services markets with emerging technologies, AI. Clients are becoming more demanding, and in many ways the clients are actually at the forefront of creating change, particularly the big banks and tech businesses. Also, we've seen the emergence of some new competitors, Axiom, Riverview Law, that are actually competing head-to-head with some of the law firms. In the accountancy sector, we're seeing some disruptors like Crunch, for example, that provides a very different sort of proposition. So that's why innovation is suddenly becoming really an important issue for the professions. And it's not easy to do. The professions have stereotypically been quite risk averse. They haven't wanted to launch new ideas unless they're fully engineered. And also, partners are hesitant to use their own equity to fund some of the innovation, but that is changing. So the key question is, how do you develop a pipeline of good ideas and take them to market? So we developed, Adrian Ferner and myself, this framework which we call the Innovation Lifecycle, because what we found is that many professionals were taking a very ad hoc approach. They didn't have any processes around innovation. They often did it as part-time, and it was fairly serendipitous about which innovations would be taken to market. The innovation life cycle is a set of principles, and it's not a kind of rigorous checklist, but it starts with making sure you've got an innovation strategy. So it's important that your innovation strategy aligns with your overall firm strategy. And what you want to look at is, have you got the right balance between disruptive innovation, things like AI or online tools, versus more incremental innovation? Both have value, and your decision on that will really be driven by the risk appetite and the amount of capital that your firm has. And really you want to develop a kind of portfolio of different innovation strategies. At this strategy stage, you also want to get the right team. It's essential to have some real enthusiasts that are going to drive the process forward, because they'll take an awful lot of knocks. So find those really entrepreneurial people with zeal, but also balance them with people who've got a different outlook, some sceptical people, so a real strong leader who can represent the innovation to the wider firm, some technologists, maybe a marketing team as well. So you've got quite a diverse but kind of enthused team. So that's the strategy. Once you've established a strategy, phase one then is what we call ideation. So this is creating the ideas. And there's been a real sort of shift in thinking about how do you create ideas. Classically, ideas were developed within a firm and behind some closed doors. Now there's a philosophy of open innovation, of collaborating with suppliers, technology providers, academics. So you've seen firms like Stanford and UCL that are collaborating with professional firms to develop new ideas. The other great source of ideas is your staff. And a number of law firms and accountancy firms have developed kind of technology platforms that harvest really good ideas from staff, and introducing an element of competition. So if your idea is selected to be developed further, you might win an award. Other firms have got it even further and created kind of innovation hubs. A good example is Denton's Next Law. Alan and Overy has also developed an innovation kind of unit. The next stage after this then is, how do you prioritise which ideas you take to market? Only a handful of the ideas will be really justified the investment. And it's a good idea to create a business case for the winning ideas, and not just looking at short-term return, but also what are the sort of tangential benefits. And you want a senior leadership pool of people to judge those. Next stage is what we call prototyping. So before you develop a full-blown service, prototype it, sketch out what the thing would look like, what would the client experience look like. You might want to mock up some marketing materials. What this enables you to do is really visualise what the service or the proposition would look like before you do the big investment in building new technology, for example. And you can get quite creative here, so you can use drawing, or you can actually mock up the whole thing. And this prototyping idea is being used by Google Ventures, for example, and I've seen it work really, really well. Once you've got that, then you then want to test the idea with real-life clients. There's a temptation to just launch the thing, or maybe get some informal feedback from some of your industry contacts. I think that's a mistake. There's real benefits in market testing it to give you a kind of reality check of whether this is a flyer. But also clients will help you inform how you launch the service, what price point, what features to include, what's the best marketing channels, what's the right price point, and what your expected return on investment is likely to be. Then you're looking at actually scaling it and getting some new clients. This can actually be the toughest stage I've found, is it often takes a lot longer to build up a big pipeline of revenues than you might anticipate. And we call this phase the kind of valley of death, because many firms kind of give up hope, but it's worth kind of fighting your way through and beginning to see the kind of returns in year 1, year 2, year 3. So that's a very sort of simple set of principles for creating ideas and then launching them. The final thing I want to say is that leadership is crucially important here. Professionals tend to be quite risk averse, and even really good ideas might be kind of killed off by the kind of partnership who can't see the benefits of their own practice area. So the successful firms like Allen & Overy, RPC, have very strong leaders who are thinking about the long-term future of their firm and are willing to really get behind the innovators and protect them from the naysayers. So those are our top tips. I would just say that it doesn't, professional firms have a stereotype of being quite conservative, but we've seen that really change. And those firms like Allen & Overy that have embraced innovation have seen a lot of success, and they're beginning to make really quite substantial revenues from the innovations they've launched and quite quickly. So I think it's worth sticking with it. So if you want more information about this, just have a look at our website. We've got a white paper on how to innovate, or you might want to look at the book which I've written with some colleagues, which has a chapter on innovation. But thank you very much for watching.